What's going on, brothers and sisters? It's your boy Carolina David coming at you again with another video. Right now, before we get started, hit the like, hit the share, hit the subscribe, and leave a comment, and we can talk. If you got questions, leave a comment, and I'll try to give an answer. Go in the description box and follow me on TikTok and all my social media platforms. The link is going to be in the description. Um, right now, we're about to dive into Genesis chapter 22, and it's going to be entitled Abraham's Test. Let's get into it.
Let's talk with Carolina David. Let's talk with Carolina David. Let's talk with Carolina David. Let's talk with Carolina David.
This is Genesis chapter 22, Abraham's Test. Let's go ahead and start at the first verse. And it came to pass after these things that God did tempt Abraham and said unto him, Abraham. And he said, Behold, I am here. And he said, which is God. And God said, Take now your son, your only son, Isaac, which is not his only son, it's just the son that's with him now, whom you love, and get you into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell of you. So right now, God just came straight out, straightforward, said, Look, you get out to one of these mountains that to this mountain that I'm gonna tell you of, and you're gonna sacrifice your only son, the son whom you love. Now, if you think about it, doesn't that resonate in a sense with what God did with Jesus when he gave his only begotten son? He basically sacrificed his only begotten son, and he's telling Abraham, get your go to this mountain to sacrifice your only son, which is the son that's with you, not your only son, just the son that's with you. You're going to offer him up as a sacrifice. And Abraham rose up early in the morning and saddled his donkey and took two of his young men with him and Isaac his son, and clave the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up and went unto the place which God had told him of. Then on the third day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off. So right there, Abraham rose up early in the morning and saddled up his donkeys. It says the A word, but I don't know if YouTube will basically get me for cursing, but he saddled up his donkeys and took young men with him along with his son, and put the wood on it. He basically gathered everything for the sacrifice. Abraham, who is a just man, got up early and said, we're going to go ahead and do this thing. This is what God asked of. We're going to go ahead and do it. Then on the third day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto his young men, Abide you here with the ass, donkey, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship, and come again to you. So right there, Abraham told the two young men, hey, you stay here along with the donkeys, and me and my son, we're gonna go up and worship. Now, if you think about it, the reason why he told the two young men to stay there, because he didn't want them to interfere with what he was planning to do for the Most High God. So he told them to stay there and watch over the donkey. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon his son Isaac. And he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and they went both of them together. Now, if you think about it, that somewhat, in a sense, resonate with how Christ did. Because Christ they made him carry his cross. So, in a sense, Abraham has now took the wood for the burnt offering and laid it upon his son while he grabbed the fire and a knife. So he had to carry his own, in a sense, like his own cross. Almost like how Jesus carried his cross. And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father, and said, My father. And he said, Here am I, my son. And Isaac said, Behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? So Isaac, being a smart young man, being a young man who pays attention to detail, was like, "Okay, Dad, we have the fire, we have the wood, but where's the lamb for the offering?" He's watching, he's noticing. Verse 8. And Abraham said, "My son, God will provide a lamb for a burnt offering." So they went, both of them together, and they came to the place which God had told him of, and Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood. So Abraham told Isaac, "Hey, God will provide this ram, but he will provide the sacrifice." And went ahead and went up there, laid the wood in order, and then he bound his son for to be sacrificed. And Abraham stretched forth his hand and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven and said, "Abraham, Abraham." And he said, "Here am I." So basically, Abraham, he done grabbed the knife, stretched forth his hand, and he ready to, he in mid stride for the stab. And the Lord called unto him, "Abraham, Abraham." Called him twice, like in a quick thing, like, "Abraham, Abraham," like to get his attention real fast. And then Abraham said, "Here am I." Verse 12. And he said, and the Lord said, "Lay not your hand upon the lad, neither do you anything unto him. For now I know that you fears God, seeing you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me." So the Lord was just basically like, "Hey, I see now that you really do fear. You really fear and respect and honor the Most High God. So don't touch your son. Don't do any harm to him." This was just a test to see how far will you go. Will you give your only begotten son, well, not your only begotten son, the only son that's in your house, the one that you love, will you give him up for me? Verse 13. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him a ram caught in a thicket by its horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering in the stead of his son. So right there, the Lord provided a way of escape. The Lord basically provided for Isaac, because Abraham was going to sacrifice him for the Most High God. He was not going to withhold nothing, because he feared the Lord. He respected the Lord, to where he was going to do the very thing that he didn't really want to do. He was going to do it for the Most High God. But the Lord had provided Isaac a scapegoat. Like, so he won't be the sacrifice, but this ram is going to be the sacrifice. Verse 14. And Abraham called the name of that place Jehovah Jireh, as it is said to this day, "In the mount of the Lord it shall be seen." And the angel of the Lord called unto Abraham out of heaven the second time and said, "By myself have I sworn, says the Lord, for because you have done this thing and have not withheld your son, your only son, that in blessing I will bless you, and in multiplying I will multiply your seed as the stars of the heaven, and as the sand which is upon the seashore, and your seed shall possess the gate of his enemies." So the Lord has basically told him, like, "Look, by myself have I sworn." So he's saying, "I'm making you this promise that because you did not withhold your son, because you were so faithful to the Most High God, that I will now bless you, and bless you that you would be multiplied as the stars out of heaven, and as the sand of the seashore. Your seed shall be as that number. No man can number the numbers of the star. No man can number the number of the sand." So guess what? The seed of Abraham, the lineage of Abraham, the genealogy of Abraham to this day is great in numbers. And he told them, that your seed would possess the gate of the enemies. So that means the place of the enemy, of your enemies, of hit their enemies, you will possess it. Your seed will possess it. Verse 18. And in your seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice. Right now, the Most High God, the Lord, is saying, in your seed, all the nations of the earth shall be blessed. Not some of the nations, not one or two or three of the nations, but all the nations of the earth. So, my Hebrew Israelites and people alike, and people that don't believe that it's going to be more than just the children of Israel, are you going to go against the word of God? Because it says, in Abraham's seed, all the nations of the earth shall be blessed, because he have obeyed his voice. 19. So Abraham returned unto his young men, and they rose up and went together to Beersheba. And Abraham dwelt at Beersheba. And it came to pass after these things that it was told Abraham, saying, Behold, Milcah, she has also borne children unto your brother Nahor, Huz his firstborn, and Buz his brother, and Kemuel the father of Haram, and Chesed, and Hazo, and Pildash, and Jitlath, and Bethuel. And Bethuel begat Rebekah. These eight, they got the number 8. These 8 Milcah did bear to Nahor, Abraham's brother. And his concubine, whose name was Rumah, she bare also Tabah, and Gaham, and Tahash, and Mayaka. So, that is the end of Genesis chapter 22, which is the test of Abraham. Now, the overall thing of this, like if you look at what happened, what transition, it was basically in resemblance to Jesus. Because the Lord, the Most High God said in John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. Now, the Lord had asked Abraham to give his only son, whom he loved, not his only son, that out of his loins, because he had Ishmael, but the one that was with him. He said, you give your only son for me. And when he went to the place, to the mount in the land of Moriah, it took them 3 days. That's the number 3. It took them 3 days to get, and he saw the land afar off. And when he got there, he told the 2 young men to stand back, but he went up and he laid the wood upon Isaac, to where Isaac had took the wood while Abraham took the fire. Guess what? Jesus had to bear his own cross and take his own cross for him to be sacrificed. Just like how Isaac had took his own wood to be sacrificed. It's so much similarity there. And I believe that the Lord basically from the beginning showed us what he was going to do for us. And then furthermore, the reason why is in resemblance too, because the Lord said to Abraham that by your seed, all the nations of the earth shall be blessed. Who the seed? By his seed, what seed is going to be the reason why all the nations of the earth are going to be blessed? Jesus. So, in a sense, it's from the beginning, it's talking about up to Jesus. But anyway, that is the end of chapter 22. And later on, we're going to go to chapter 23. So I'm going to say good night, good morning, good afternoon, whenever you may be watching. I love y'all, and I pray that y'all have a blessed and peaceful night rest, or have a blessed and peaceful day. Peace.